It's coming up to 2:30 a.m. East Coast time in the US, and we'd like to welcome our viewers across the United States who are joining us here on CNN International as we wait for the Shuttle Endeavour to touch down. The exact time of the landing, according to NASA, 2:35 and 23 seconds. Let's just take a moment and listen in to Mission Control as Endeavour makes its final approach. And, of course, Sod's Law. Last time we heard them speak, it was down to, there we are.
Receiving good heads-up display video.
Last time we heard them talk, there was no crosswinds at the Kennedy Space Center. There was only tailwinds. And we are now just about 10 minutes, or 5 minutes away, rather, of the touchdown. Now, Endeavour has traveled almost 123 million miles, almost 200 million kilometers, and spent a total of 299 days in space. And this is the shuttle's 25th and final mission.
Mach 1.
Let's bring in CNN's John Zarella, who is live at the Kennedy Space Center for more on Endeavour's final mission. And John, you've seen a few shuttle landings in your time. What can we expect from this one?
Well, you know, you're looking at the heads-up display there, which is what the commander is seeing as he's descending. And really, Endeavour is for Mark Kelly, the commander, falling like a rock right now. They just dropped under the speed of sound, just under Mach 1. So, what, about 650 miles an hour? And, you know, what you're going to be looking at and listening for next is as the shuttle makes the big turn, is that right there, just on cue. Twin sonic booms. I don't know if you heard that or not.
We did. Yeah. We caught it.
Okay. But in fact, the Endeavour is signaled that it has made the turn overhead and is now pretty much coming in on about a 7 degrees sharper drop than you would find in an airliner, John. And remember, it is a glider. It can do it once. It can come down here once. He's got to hit it right on the money. There's no going back around and making a second try at this. So now we're looking at what, about 3 minutes or so until the landing of Endeavour. John?
Okay, John, just stay with us because we have a guest with us. We have Leroy Chow, a former NASA astronaut, who's joining us now from Houston. And Leroy, just tell us, as we await Endeavour to touch down, just talk to us about just how special Endeavour really is, because it was described to me as the pride of the shuttle fleet.
Well, Endeavour, of course, is the youngest shuttle, and my second mission was aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour, so this is obviously a very special ship to me. But yeah, she's making her last flight, and you know, she still is the youngest of the fleet.
Only 25 missions. It was built for 100 flights. So some critics out there say this is a huge waste. When they retire the shuttle fleet, it's going to put NASA 50 years behind.
Well, it is a shame. I mean, the space shuttle still has a lot of life left in it that could fly, and you know, there have been no vehicles before, and there are none even contemplated that come anywhere even close to the capability of space shuttle. So I too am sad to see the program come to an end very soon.
And just stay with us, Leroy, because I want to go back to John Zarella to pick up about the future for the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Once it touches down, what will they do with it?
Yeah, well, it's going to take some time to get it all cleaned up and, you know, a lot of the hazardous chemicals and propellants cleaned out of it. They're going to be taking a lot of the hardware off of it. And then Endeavour is going to end up at the California Science Center out in Los Angeles, and it's a museum out there, and that is where it will be on display. Of course, we know Atlantis, which will fly in July, the last shuttle to fly, it's going to make its home right here at the Kennedy Space Center once it's retired, and Discovery, which has already flown its last flight, will be at the Smithsonian. You know, picking up on Leroy's point about Endeavour, you know, Endeavour would never have been built if it hadn't been for the very tragic Challenger accident. You know, it was Ronald Reagan, President Reagan at the time, saying, we are going to press forward, we're going to continue with exploration of space, and they made the decision to go ahead and build the replacement for the Challenger.
And John, if I can, sorry, I just want to interrupt. I just want to explain to our viewers that we can actually see Endeavour now.
There it is.
Yeah, here she comes.
There it is.
Speed.
working on those the cameras, and it's coming in right now. The wheels are down, flared over the runway.
Gear down and locked. Main gear touchdown. Drag chute deployed by Greg Johnson. Forward gear touchdown. And so after a journey of 6.5 million miles, Endeavour landing in darkness, but illuminated by the ingenuity, dedication of every astronaut, scientist, engineer, flight controller, mechanic, and dreamer that helped it fly. The fleet's youngest ship completing its 122 millionth mile after its crew delivered an instrument to the International Space Station that will sift through the cosmic darkness for years to come.
Houston, Endeavour, we'll stop. 122 million miles flown during 25 challenging space flights. Your landing ends a vibrant legacy for this amazing vehicle that will long be remembered. Welcome home, Endeavour.
Yeah, thank you, Houston. You know, the Space Shuttle is an amazing vehicle to fly through the atmosphere, hit it at Mach 25, steer through the atmosphere like an airplane, land on a runway. It is really, really an incredible ship. On behalf of my entire crew, I want to thank every person that's worked to get this mission going, and every person that's worked on Endeavour. It's sad to see her land for the last time, but she really has a great legacy.
Great words. Thank you, Mark. And we will meet you and your crew on 5-3.
You know, John, we don't want anybody out there that's watching to worry about that, what they're seeing there. As Leroy Chow, who's probably still with us, can attest, that's just an OMS engine burn off of some propellants and things that, it's not, you don't see it during daylight launches, but it is not a fire. It's not anything that anybody has to worry about, well, as we see Endeavour sitting there.
Let's go back to Leroy. Maybe he can tell us a little bit more about exactly what happened, because he's been through it, and exactly what we're watching here now with Endeavour. Leroy?
Right, John is correct. It's nothing to worry about. What you're seeing are the exhausts from the auxiliary power units, and those are, you can think of them as kind of small jet engines, and they're burning hydrazine, and you're seeing the exhaust from that. Of course, the APUs supply the hydraulic pressure for all of the systems aboard the Endeavour.
When I saw the Endeavour coming in, I heard the communications and the talk between Mark Kelly and Mission Control. It was a real goosebump moment for me. What was it like for you, Leroy? I mean, this must have been, I don't want to overplay it, but fairly emotional for you.
Oh, very much so. I mean, any shuttle flight is special, and coming up to a landing, to the culmination or the end of the flight is a very emotional moment. Of course, that's kind of the stressful time on the commander as he or she makes the actual landing. And as you come down to wheel stop, especially this time, the last time for Endeavour, it's definitely bittersweet. I did my first 2 spacewalks out of Endeavour's airlock many years ago, and every shuttle is special, and Endeavour's no exception.
And Leroy, we're now coming up to the last shuttle flight, the Atlantis, in July, if it all goes according to plan and on schedule.
Right.
And that's now leading to a lot of people to ask the question, what would we not have if we did not have the shuttle program and all of the hundreds of billions of dollars that were spent?
Well, it's the shuttle is still the most advanced flying machine ever built. I mean, it never lived up to the promise of inexpensive access to space, unfortunately, but we learned a heck of a lot about operating a reusable vehicle, and the lessons learned that can be applied in the future to a reusable vehicle are invaluable. So, as I said before, there's no vehicle that has anywhere close to the capability of shuttle in the past or even contemplated for the future. I mean, she takes off like a rocket. It takes a crew of up to seven astronauts, a payload of over 50,000 pounds. It's a superb orbiting laboratory as well as a construction platform. You can do spacewalks. It's got a robotic arm. You can take up big pieces of space station or other things and deploy it. So there's nothing even on the drawing boards, it can come even close to your capabilities. So
Sure.
yes, it was an expensive program, but to me, it was well worth it.
And let's just go back to John Zarella, because not only was this amazing final touchdown, but this mission in itself, the backstory, John, and all of this with Commander Mark Kelly and the U.S. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was shot in the head, as we know, but was there for the liftoff. Give us some of those details, because that was incredible.
Yeah, it really was. And, you know, for a while, it was questioned as to whether Mark Kelly was even going to be able to continue to command this flight. And after his wife was shot, he took some time down, and NASA appointed an interim commander so that the crew can continue their training. You know, then once his wife, Gabrielle Giffords, was moved to Houston to the rehabilitation center there, you know, Kelly gave it some long thought and, you know, conversations with family members, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, he came out in a news conference and said, look, you know, she's here, I'm here, we're both in Houston. What am I going to do? She's in rehab all day. I might as well be training for a flight. So the bottom line was that the decision was made by his family and by her that he would go ahead and fly this flight. And then the drama was, would Gabrielle Giffords be able to watch her husband when he lifted off from the Space Center? And in fact, you know, it was certainly a minor miracle, if you believe in such things, that she was even able to come here to witness that liftoff and then go back home to Houston and continue her rehab, and in fact had an operation on her skull while he was flying this mission. So, you know, that's quite a bit of the backstory to this whole, you know, Endeavour final flight was the Giffords Kelly drama that played out over several months. John?
Yeah, it's an amazing story, everything to do with the Endeavour right now. So John Zarella there at the Kennedy Space Center. We had Leroy Chow just a short time ago at Houston, Texas. We've lost him, but we thank him for his time. John, we thank you for being with us so early in the morning. For our viewers here in the US, we say goodbye. You'll return to Anderson Cooper 360.